Hello, hello, hello. It's Knits for Sanity and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, you are probably seeing exactly what you would expect to see. I am Knits for Sanity and therefore you would expect to see hand knits featured, on this channel. Actually, it is a long story, but typically my channel is filled with diamond painting related content. I've occasionally brought in some knitting things over the years, but for the most part, my audience is most interested in my diamond painting, and so that is what I share with you. But today, if you have been here hundreds of times before and you're thinking, oh no, it's yarn and knitting, and I'm here for crystals and drills and gorgeous canvases, please stick around. I got a really exciting package here that I am excited to show you guys. And I kind of want to bring it back to my roots a little bit and just remind everybody that, hey, I do love to knit. Knitting is my first passion. I learned how to knit when I was 4 or 5 years old, and it has been a steady part of my life. I love scrumptious fibers. I love creating fabrics. Everything about the process is just so amazing. And frustrating. A lot more frustrating than what diamond painting ever gets to be. There's a lot more math involved with knitting. Let's just put it that way. And stitches tend to be more finicky than drills. There's a reason why I do a ton of diamond painting. First, though, let's look over these couple of recent hand knits. Just real quickly. So this first one, I just completed these over the last couple of weeks. This first hat here is meant to be worn two ways. It has a wider brim here, so you can wear it as a slouch hat. I'm going to put up a series of pictures here that I took. My youngest daughter let me model. No, let me have her model. What am I trying to say? My youngest daughter was willing to model this hat for me. There used to be a day where my kids were all about modeling my hand knits, and that day's kind of faded. I mean, my son's all about it, but I don't create a whole lot of knits that work well for him. While I was doing all that rambling, hopefully you could see how this hat is worn in two ways. So you can leave it with the brim fully extended and then you have like a slouch cap, or of course you can fold the brim over and now you have a far more traditional type cap. It almost looks like a fisherman's knit. It's not. It is actually a broken rib stitch, but the effect is kind of similar to like what you'd expect to see on a fisherman's cap or a fisherman's rib, but it is not actually truly that at all. The fabric, I made fabric, the fiber content in here in the yarn, it's from Plucky Knitter, and I'm quite certain that this is a merino wool and baby camel mix. So just a glorious couple of fibers to work with. The warmth for this is superior, as is the comfort level. You're not going to get the same scratchy effect that you would with some other wools. And these colors are gorgeous, just stunning. The other thing that I loved about this particular hat, this is a modification of a pattern. And unfortunately, I do not remember the name of the pattern that I looked at and then kind of like spun off from there. But what I really liked about it is this looks like something that can be easily worn by a man or a woman. This size is actually, I made this intended to be more of a man size. My youngest daughter has kind of a big head. It's probably because she is so freaking smart. So it actually fits and looks quite nice on her. But if you are a smaller woman, this particular hat will be too large on you. And you could easily feminize this a little bit more. I mean, not that men can't have these too, by adding a little bobble on the top. And I'd asked my daughter if she thought a bobble would be nice, and she actually said no, leave it the way that it is. So I think I'm going to leave this as is. This is likely to become a Christmas gift for a family member. As you know, money is insanely tight these days. The car issues are never, we desperately need a car is the problem. And yet we still owe on a car that is causing us all the problems. So I think this is probably going to be a Christmas gift. It's yarn that was in my stash, so I did not have to repurchase yarn. And of course, with the fiber content in here, it is obviously very gorgeous yarn. So this is the first completed item here. And then the second one, this is a true just cap, but it is really, really cute. Super simple pattern here. It's just created using a bunch of slipped stitches. This is really meant to be worn like this. It's not meant to have the brim folded up. That would make the hat too small. So as you can see, the brim is about the same as what this one is when you fold it over. So, you know, just a nice hat, just as is, like this. I love hat decreases on the top. When done well, I think they're a pretty neat feature of a hat, actually. I don't know. It looks nice to me. Unfortunately, I've not had anyone model this one for me yet. I'm pretty sure this one might be just merino wool. It's also from Plucky Knitter, the yarn. But I'm pretty sure it's just a merino wool base. And based on how it feels to me as well, it does feel like merino wool to me. In case you're not aware, merino wool, it's a shorter staple length fiber, which just means that it is a shorter fiber length. But because of that, the micron count is like ridiculously high for a wool. I'm speaking knitting terminology, just bear with me. But all of this means, in the end, what this all means is merino wool, especially a high grade merino wool, is super duper soft. And really, unless you have an actual allergy to wool, anyone can wear a good merino wool. So this is a just fantastic little hat, and I'm hoping I can get a daughter to model it for me, but we'll see. Like I said, that's getting harder these days as my kids get older. But again, this one really, really earthy tones, and I feel like this kind of goes along with it really, really well. Very similar type color palette. Yeah, so I just wanted to share those with you. This one, I don't think I'm going to put I was going to say a bonbon, but a pom-pom. Definitely not a bonbon. A pom-pom on top, because I don't want it to distract from this lovely texture. I carefully selected this yarn to go with this type texture. And I really think a pom-pom might kind of distract from that a little bit. So I think I'm going to actually leave this one alone. I feel like pom-poms often work best on hats similar to this, where it's a very uniform stitch, and you can have that extra embellishment, but when you have such a pretty pattern already in here, you really want this to be the star. So that's just my, little knitting opinions. But there you go, a couple of my recent hand knits. This package is really quite exciting for me. This comes from a knitting designer and artist who really kind of busted on the scene almost 20 years ago, Susan B. Anderson. Don't get her confused with Susan B. Anthony, who has long since passed away. But Susan B. Anderson, she was a math teacher and she enjoyed knitting, and she just boxed up a bunch of baby hats that she had knit, put them in a box, and sent them off to a publishing company. And they're like, hey, these are great. And next thing she knew, she had a book, Itty Bitty Hats. And that went on to a couple of other books in the Itty Bitty series. And she's really blossomed since then. She's had a couple of different ventures, but eventually, a number of years ago now, I don't know for sure how many yet, but probably around 8 years, possibly even more, she finally opened up her own yarn shop, Barrett Wool Yarn Company, using her maiden name. I know her oldest son was, if not still is, also working with her, and she still has her children help model things for her. It's been a really cool family to watch grow over the years. And I actually met her at I don't know what you call it, but she was at a bookstore not far from where we live. I was pregnant with Veda, who, if you don't know, will be 15 in January. And I met her, it was almost exactly 14 years ago at this book signing. Really, that's what it was a book signing for, I think, her third and final Itty Bitty nursery. And it was a pleasure meeting her. I was able to thank her in person. After my first daughter was born, it was a really, really hard time for me, and my depression had gotten really severe. And I refound knitting during that time. I mean, I'd always been knitting on and off for years and years, but it was her itty bitty, I don't remember if it was Itty Bitty Hats, if that was the book that I found at a yarn store, but it was one of her books that really helped just launch me back into knitting. And it proved to be a life savior for me. That and ironically romance novels, which that's the only time in my life that I ever read romance novels. I haven't really touched them since, and I have no real interest in them. They're just not my thing. I have no problem with them. But just that kind of, romance novels are happy. They have a pretty set plot. Knitting is productive. You're doing something with your hands. It's a methodical movement. It is a meditation of sorts. And so she helped provide me with a way to heal after my firstborn. And anyway, that was kind of a story here. And I'm sorry, but that's what I do. I tell stories. So what she has done with Barrett Wool Company is, in addition to developing and creating her own wool line, she also comes out with these adorable kits. Just absolutely adorable kits. And that is what I am going to show you. Plus, she had another little thing in here that I ended up picking up too, because of course, why not? They were, I believe, on sale. The packaging is absolutely, really nice. I love the brown paper bag. The Barrett Wool Company sticker here. All right, so first I'm going to show you the knot kit items. Oh boy, oh no, I just made a huge mess. Oh! Oh no! Oh, that's bad. Oh. Okay, well, good thing we have vacuum cleaners now. I had a box sitting next to me that I was kind of using as like a little trash box, but in there I had dumped out my trash drill container, plus I had done a bunch of de-kitting of my diamond paintings just last night, and a number of those drills were also put in there. Now they're all over the carpet next to me, and it is a mess. Okay, so yeah, vacuum. Anyway, these are just little mini worsted twists. They are an uneven twist, which means they are technically not perfect. These are imperfections. And I will try and explain and show you what that means by that. So what happens when you have an uneven twist is things like this, where you have batches that they aren't twisted quite as well, so they're a little bit thicker, versus you have other areas like right down here where this is thinner. This is a tighter twist than what you would anticipate finding. So it's an uneven twist when you take the individual fibers of this yarn. There are 3 individual strands of fibers in here, and then you twist those all together to create the weight of your yarn. And this is it's an uneven twist. And it's definitely an uneven twist. This is pretty funky. This looks like something that I would have done myself. But here's the thing. It truly still knits up lovely, just lovely. She had a bunch of this yarn that came in, and it was an uneven twist, so technically it is not perfect. And they were selling them as these little hanks at a discounted price, and so I went ahead and I snatched up 4 of 2 different colors that I thought kind of complemented each other, and I could probably do something with them. So this is item number 1, and this is item number 2. This is what I was talking about for the kits that she's known to make. They're not always using her patterns. In this case though, this is one of her patterns. It is a reversible Christmas tree to snowman kit. I'm going to see if I can find a couple of pictures to put up here for you to let you, you can then see it, like what it actually looks like. But these kits, they always come in these gorgeous bags like this. I mean, this is just a lovely, lovely bag. And then inside is really everything you need, other than, of course, your basics, like your knitting needles. But inside, I cannot show you this, but there is a downloadable code on Ravelry. And then this was a special case where she actually did a gorgeous printed pattern booklet for this, okay? Plus, when you typically buy these kits on a little brown paper like this, it will give you a download code that you can use on the knitting website Ravelry. It's kind of like a social media site for knitters. And that is how you can also get the pattern. But in this particular case, she actually created this gorgeous booklet for us. But here you can see, here it is as the snowman. Turn them inside out and you have Christmas tree. Super fun, very, very cute. Let's see if there's any other cool pictures in here. So here you go. Here's a couple other images in the back. And then if you pull them all out, that's what you have. Anyway, just a cute little project here. Also included, she gives you safety eyes for your snowman. She gives you some additional little bits of yarn for, this is the garland for the Christmas tree. And the gray is what will be used on the snowman, like his charcoal buttons and his branch arms. You just need little bits of yarn for that. That's included. Plus the yarn that you actually need to create the toy itself. So just really, really, really cute. I'm going to link to her shop. If you are a knitter, go check her out. Sign up for her newsletter. Definitely sign up for her newsletter because often things sell out quickly. When a new kit comes in stock, it sells out very quickly. She also will do pre-orders very often, but the pre-orders are only open for just so long. So go check her out. Please show her some support. I really appreciate this woman. I really like what she's done for the knitting world. She has offered very accessible patterns for people. They are not too hard, not too complicated, but interesting enough and with enough difficulty in there that it makes you want to push and learn more in the craft of knitting. So please, go check her out and see for yourself just how cool and awesome her stuff is. Other fun little side note, she is also a mom of 4. She, however, had a son, daughter, but I told you I met her when I was pregnant with my second. And of course, I went on to have 4 kids. And now my 4 kids are about the ages that her 4 kids were when I first started kind of following along with her. And in fact, my teeny tiny little family at that time was actually featured on a blog that she had, a personal blog way back 15 years ago. Here I am, pregnant me, my husband, I think my husband was holding Sylvia. I know he would have been because at that point in my pregnancy with Veda, I could hardly move. She was terrible to my body. And it's just amazing for me to realize that now she has grandchildren the ages that my Sylvia was, and even older than what my Sylvia was at that time. So just the passage of time is really pretty incredible and a marvelous thing to think about. So thank you so much for reminiscing with me for a little bit, for listening to some more stories, for letting me indulge in my other love of knitting. Don't worry, diamond painting is still going to be the primary feature on this channel. I really wanted to take a minute and just share with you a couple of the things that I have been working on that are not diamond painting related. So thank you so much for letting me do that. And like I always say, please practice patience and kindness. You never know where it's gonna lead. In this case, this was just a mom of 4 in Wisconsin who happened to like knitting. And because of the kindness that she just showed in her books and in her blog, she'd respond to my comments. She really helped me get through a difficult time in my life. Oh my gosh. I'm actually, wow. I got a little bit choked up, and that is not normal for me at all. So yes, go check out her website. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope that you are having a wonderful, wonderful day. I will see you all again real soon.